Hello everyone and welcome back to Leighton Vans. Now, I'm sat on the settees in LV1 in the showroom. There's nothing behind me. Normally we're alluding to the video today, but this one's a little bit of a different one. So, as I'm sure you can imagine, we have various conversations throughout the day during the office. If we've done a certain build with certain suspension and certain brake setups and things like that. Once we've driven it, we have it just naturally flows into a conversation about, oh, that van drove amazing with those coilovers on, or that van with those sport seats, that van felt much better to drive. So then we thought, well, how can we show that? How can we get that information across to you guys? And conversation spiraled, and all of a sudden we booked Blyton Park. We booked the whole circuit out for us for the day. We had it from 9 till 5. We also had help from Neil and Rob at the Road to Mastery, who are a driver training company, who do awesome work with their driver training and teaching people how to drive fast and smooth and just improve your driving skills overall. So we booked Blyton, and then we thought, right, well, let's do some brake tests. Standard van, big brake kit. Let's pitch them against each other. Let's do a handling test, a slalom test with a standard van on standard suspension, a van on our standard lowering springs, and then a van with coilovers and H&R anti-roll bars and the sport seats. And then that transferred into, well, let's chuck Neil, our tame racing driver, in each van and get a hot lap and see whether the modifications that we provide here actually provide a difference on a track. Not that you guys are ever going to go to Blyton or Donington and pitch your van around the track, but it's that real world driving and how confident you are of putting a weighted van into a corner with certain suspension on. And if something pulls out on you, how quickly and how firmly is that vehicle going to stop? So we've got some absolutely awesome videos to show you. This is the first one. We're going to start with some just first impressions from Neil and Rob, the guys at the Road to Mastery. And we're going to see what they think from standard van to standard LV to LV demo. So we've got Neil and Rob from the Road to Mastery with us today. We've been working together for
a year and a bit now.
Yeah, a year and a bit.
Yeah.
Giving you a van for the events, and in return we've done a bit of training with Mike and things like that.
Absolutely.
So we were up at an event earlier, up at Blyton actually earlier in the year, but we're growing our partnership with these guys who do a fantastic job with the coaching, the mentoring, the pair of them, and the rest of the team, because it doesn't just stop with you guys, does it? You've got...
No, exactly. It's a range of different coaches, all specialised in different areas. An opportunity for people to continue to grow in their driving life. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So that's what we're going to try and do. Neil and Rob are going to try and coach me a little bit today on how to cope with the weight of one of these when you're romping along a little bit. So, like I say, we've got all the same van, really, but they're all extremely different.
Absolutely. Well, when you look at your new van, which looks really, really good, compared to the standard van, it makes the standard van look pretty standard, doesn't it?
Bit underwhelming, isn't it,
Bit
to look at? But
so we're used to these on a regular basis.
Yeah. So we've got 200 brake horsepower across the board, biggest engine you can get, bi-turbo, 7-speed DSG. We've got as it leaves the factory, as it leaves LV, and then as it leaves LV with every single box ticked. So we've even got H&R anti-roll bars, EBC big brake kit, 6-pot calipers, 355mm disc, the brand new Solo NSL coilovers, which stay tuned for that, because we are got something really cool in the pipeline with Transporter HQ, which is part of the reason for today, is seeing whether this hype around coilovers versus lowering springs actually makes a difference. So I think you guys are pretty excited for pushing some vans around a track.
We are, aren't we, Rob?
Well, particularly this one on the end that we've not driven with all the boxes ticked. We've just been getting the standard beautiful Leighton vans. So yeah, really excited about that.
Awesome. I think I was driving it here this morning on dead sort of Lincolnshire B roads, and I was thinking, I think Neil, yeah, quite. Yeah. But I was thinking, I think Neil and Rob are going to be pleasantly surprised by this, because you can't half shift and carry some speed through some corners with it. So
well, they're already competent.
Yes.
I spent many a year driving vans in my formative days, so yeah, these are a real pleasure to drive, and they look stunning.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, now the thing is does the road presence, does the actual driving ability match with the road presence now?
Well, they certainly look like they do in business, don't they? And to be totally fair, I mean, we've pushed your vans around here a little bit to do some stuff before, and they hang on pretty well.
Yeah.
So they do, and you can hustle them fairly well down the B roads. So
and it's going to be interesting to. I mean, I can't wait to get your guys' feedback on that van on the end versus the two extremes, the stuff that, the ones that you've not had much experience with. That's going to be mega. And also seeing if I can get some improvement just after a short amount of time from the expert coaching.
do you reckon, Rob?
I think the instinctive surprise was actually how good the standard van was actually as a base platform. It's quite light, stand on the brakes, and it responded quite nicely, but it was pretty soon quite apparent that it was understeer city. I don't know what you found, but the shoulders are rolling over on the tyres really easily.
Yeah, I mean, we're spending a lot of time in the Leighton vans at the moment, aren't we? And really, that's our frame of reference. And it's been really interesting to go from something which feels pretty positive and it feels almost car-like in a genuine way, and then go back to the standard VW van. It just feels all very light and wobbly. Like the steering was super light, and the sidewalls of the tyres, they just sort of flop about. It's a good tyre, there's a lot of grip. Actually, it's not that it just runs off the track. I didn't think, but it's just the way it sort of wobbles about and it leans over and it pitches forward, and it's all a bit wallowy, which does its thing. But it's a standard van. We're used to sports cars, so
we've not driven a Leighton van until today in this manner, because
not for a few months anyway.
Well, we're driving them primarily on the road, aren't we?
Yeah.
So to push it. So the standard van was surprising. I thought it would be a lot less competent than it was, but you can feel the body roll and the shoulder of the tyre rolling over. That was the obvious thing.
Yeah, definitely the biggest thing, Adam, is when you get into the other vans, you immediately feel a sensation of just positive, confidence-inspiring handling. That for me is the standaway takeaway. I mean, in real lap time and road holding, you're still on road tyres. There's only so much gain you're going to get on suspension system. It's how does it feel and how does it deliver? And getting straight into the standard LV van, it just feels so much more composed. And even silly things like the seat bolstering, there's just a little bit in there. It makes all the difference. And on normal sort of road driving, with a little bit of a hustle if you're a bit late for somewhere, it hangs on well enough. Whereas when I got into your last van, the tricked up van, and then went straight back to the standard, I was slipping down here and slipping out there. It was, I was thinking, blimey.
Well, I'd felt that improvement from the standard to the first LV, so I did give you a subtle hint that could be entertaining.
Yeah. I think what I have to say is that the standard LV van is actually so competent in its confidence-inspiring nature anyway, or most of the drop is already there on the suspension. And so there's a lot of really good stuff in that van. So I didn't think it was night and day, like, wow, an amazing change that is literally like getting into a race car. But it's incremental stuff that you go, yeah, actually, it's just that little bit more there, a little bit more comfortable. On the brakes, I was really enjoying braking in the van with the EBC calipers and all that, because the way that it leans in and the way that it just feels a little bit flatter. It communicates with you, so you know what it's doing, but it's not feeling excessive. And if I had to hit the brake pedal for an emergency, a Badger moment, shall we say, I'd hit the brake hard and feel comfortable with it. And there
was a nice feel to it. I was saying to you when I came back in, we talk about trail braking on the track, firm at the start and trading off the pressure, and there was just a nice feel to that. And of course, these brakes have not been on the van for very long, so we've had to put some heat cycles through them as well. So they weren't even at their optimum performance at that point.
Yeah, no, for sure, it's the pedal feel, the extra friction of those yellow stuff pads in the front, and the sort of modulation is good. That's really, really nice.
I think it would be interesting, having not driven a standard van on the road as well, that if we did that, you'd feel that sort of going away. So rather than being quite surprised at how good it was when you put it under more intensity on the track for the first time, then when you go back on the road where we're used to an LV van, then you'd be like, oh yeah, that's you feel it going the other way, I think, because it very much rolls.
If I were to start ticking options in order of how much cash have I got, the seats are the first one, no question. I think probably the caliper's the second one, and the coilovers I would be keen to do more so I can adjust and tune for my own benefit, if you like. Starting to play with the van a little bit on the limit and playing with, okay, we're getting into car driving territory here. But it's just having the opportunity to do different things, and even for us, when we put a bit more weight, a bit less weight, getting the stance right with different weights, and you can kind of, adjust your platforms and things.
And I said to you when we turned up this morning and I looked at the van, just opening the door, the seats stand out, don't they? You know they're going to be good. And my lovely little Maelstrom X5's got woeful seats, so I really appreciated those.
got to say, the paddle shift,
that was
very much engaging. Using the manual mode on these, I'd rather have the manual van. The manual van we've been running around in this month. I prefer to have the manual because I enjoy the engagement. But put the paddles on, I think that's a seriously good upgrade. That I've really enjoyed using. And whilst it's not sports car snappy, and it would benefit from a sport mode if you can map it at some stage to make it do that and really a little bit more instant and do what you want. The opportunity to do that and choose the gear at the right moment that way, rather than here and keeping all in the wheel. That was confidence inspiring as well.
Yeah,
nice
the paddles made all the difference, especially without a sport mode, because it tended to be one gear higher under braking into the corner than you wanted it to be, which is a V-dub thing. It's nothing to do with what you guys do with it. But it was interesting that you said that they used to have a sport mode and they've come away from that thinking. And the paddles made that a much improved thing. So yeah, that was a big bonus as well.
It's going to be interesting to see what it does in terms of actual lap time as well. So we really put the clock on it. I don't think they're going to be a huge gap. I think they're going to be closer
between
than
the two Leighton vans.
I think all three. I think all three are going to be closer than we expect, but we'll see. We'll let the numbers do the talking.
Well, this is where you can't hide the fact it's a 2-ton van.
Exactly, and you've got another 130 kilos, is it, in the back?
There's an extra 150 kilos over the back axle in mine.
Yeah.
Law of physics does have something to say about that,
and
doesn't it?
to be fair, you think about that, and 150 kilos in the back of the van, and the braking is still feeling better than it did in the standard LV van. Those EBCs, they're a good upgrade, definitely.
Well, and I was saying we had one of your vans at Donington yesterday for an event we went to with some real high-end sports car owners, and as soon as I rolled in 2 minutes after you, there's a bloke walking around the van just checking it out. So again, in both cases of the LV design, it's got massive appeal for people that are rolling around in £200,000 sports cars on track day. So that in itself, that whole package is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it depends obviously what your customer base is, but the key takeaway is if you're going from a normal passenger car to a van, you don't really feel you're in a van. You feel you're in a proper car. You know, it's not quite sports car. No, of course it's not.
But neither is it my Mercedes Sprinter from years ago.
Indeed. So I mean, the change from a standard van to particularly yours, you know, it really feels like you're in something a bit special and very car-like, and that's very confidence-inspiring if that's your main vehicle. So it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic stuff. We'll do some brake tests and actually see what is the actual difference side by side. What's the slalom really looking like? Can we see the body roll changes? Because you can feel it. Well, let's go and watch it.
The UBC upgrade, you can feel an improvement, but of course, as we're driving around, we're the inconsistent factor. So to actually have a much more measurable exercise where we can really isolate that the driver's coming out of that equation, because I'm not going to pretend I'm hitting the brakes at exactly the same point. It's not like a Michael Schumacher. So that will be really interesting for us to see as we do that.
Cool.
Mega, so let's get back on track and get some of these tests done.
Yep, excellent, looking forward to it.